What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions.
All right, God, is it? It's time for some answers. Who are we?
Here's the bad news. You're video game characters. You were designed by computer geeks in cubicles to run around and be controlled by other computer geeks in their bedrooms.
We knew that, Birkenstocks.
Yeah, explain to us the meaning of life.
Okay, those computer geeks who control you, thing is, they're part of a video game too. You see, the planet Earth is my most immersive, detailed video game yet, and I play it 24 hours a day. It's great. You can get out of your car, have a family. I even put in a complete and wholly consistent fossil record for the nerds. So, The Simpsons game, your game, is really nothing but a mini-game inside my Earth game. If you think about it.
So, not only are we not real, we're characters inside a mini-game inside another game. And the people playing us right now are the characters inside the big game that you're playing.
Well, you're not inside just any game. The planet Earth got a score of 96 on Metacritic.
But why did you let me find the instruction book back in Springfield? Doesn't that mess up your whole system?
Oh, totally. That was like a complete accident.
Here I am. Rock you like a hurricane.
Oh, how do you control the camera in this thing? Is it the L and R button or what? Ah, screw this, I'm getting a beer. Oh,
The Simpsons game?
So, yeah. You see? Oops.
Oops, ain't gonna cut it, Mr. Glowing Visage Beautiful Beyond All Description. You gotta make this right.
Relax. God, I feel really super bad about all of this. And I seriously want to finish Oblivion so I can get started on something else, so what do you want?
Put Springfield back the way it was. And let us keep our awesome powers.
Improve the working conditions of all video game characters.
Grant me 3 wishes.
Fine, I'll do all that stuff. Even make games less dangerous for the characters. I guess games have been getting too violent.
God, there is one thing. Do you ever wonder if you're a character in a video game?
That's just dumb. I mean, stop being dumb.
Wow! Daddy, someone's looking at me!
And a very grand and mighty welcome to all the fellow decoders, both male and female, out there around the world. My name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality, and today we're going to be breaking down and decoding the great show called The Simpsons. This has been a decode that was unplanned, last minute. I literally put this thing together in one day. I've been getting better at making my slides, but this was inspired by the YouTube channel Bruco, the great decoder who has really given the decoding world much to look at through the eyes of The Simpsons. So a big shout out to Bruko from the great country of Poland. It was because of you that kind of inspired this decode, and I wanted just to give a big shout out to him. So as I always say, folks, slip on a pair of headphones, get immersed in this presentation, block the outside world out of your life. And this one's going to be improv. I have no idea how long it's going to be. I have quite a bit of information, but let's get started with this. The Simpsons decode. Man, this one's going to knock your socks off. Woo! Is it going to knock your socks off? So let's start off just kind of with a couple slides for the intro. I'm going to get into the topics. This is part of the intro. The Simpsons, if you just take the off of there, I'm going to be breaking it down both ways, but Simpsons is a 34, and I'm going to show you how powerful this Chaldean numerology cipher is if you are a decoder and you're on the fence of using it. I'm going to show you how this is the top dog cipher. I feel many other decoders feel the same way, but Simpsons is a 34, and that's a match to what we're lined up with here in duality. It's the spirit and the ego. It's what we're using in this reality called Wonderland. It's the duality of spirit and ego, and that's what the Simpsons are primarily basing their essence off of as well. I feel is that spirit and ego. But what if we take this 34 and we start to bring in real mathematics? And those of you that are new, just follow along and continue to watch some of these presentations. You'll get the hang of it. Those of you that are returning subscribers, you know how I roll. Thanks for your support, but it's through math, and there are many layers to go through, one of them being the golden ratio. And the website that I use for that is this website right here called Subidium.com. And you can measure phi, the golden ratio, and then pi. And you can put any digit in here, and it'll tell you where it's located at, up to 2 million digits. But there's the 34, and the 34 occupies 2 digits, 26 and 27. Of course, 26 is the tetragrammaton, 26 is iron, meaning our blood, 27 is currency, meaning that we're batteries. But if you take the 26 and the 27 and you add them up, you're going to get the number 53, and that's tied to this element right here. These are bridges. They give us massive clues. We're made up of these elements. The elements are the Elohim, the gods. That's what we are. And it's the element iodine. Iodine is an essential element if you study it for the body. Protects the thyroid, but it's iodine. It's one half of the I am. And this is very fitting right here. And the 53 is going to link to the color blue and yellow, which is the color of the Simpson characters. I'm going to show that in a little bit in this presentation. But there we go with this right there. And then just quickly doing the alchemology of the Simpsons. And if you're new to this again, what's alchemology? It's blending alchemy with numerology. So we take the numbers we get from the letters and then we bring them into the periodic table. We match them up. So for instance, the word the is 455, and it's the element beryllium and boron twice. And then the Simpsons. And what's really interesting about the Simpsons is it has the word sim in it. Simpsons. And sim is pi itself, 3.14, telling you that we're living in a simulation, which is primarily made up of numbers, letters, and symbols. And the Simpsons is a direct correlation to that. When we go over to the trusty calculator and we add all these up, we're going to get this total number right here, 103.105. Adding it up, it's 208. You're going to get into the element bismuth, and you get into my prison planet and all that kind of stuff. But the 103 is massively important because it's a prime number. It's the 27th prime number. And when we go back to that 27, we go back up here, and there's the 27 in the string of the golden ratio tied to the word Simpsons itself, and spirit and ego, and the iodine. The I am that I am tied to the dragon, and the great dragon was hurled down, and currency. And, just remember, I'm going to show you why Chaldean is the top dog cipher, I feel, is because this 103 and 27, when you go to the numerology ciphers here is the Chaldean right here. And when you take all 26 letters of our English alphabet into the Chaldean cipher, you're going to get 103. And then when you type in the word Chaldean, you're going to get 27. So right there is the connecting point of the 103 and the 27 from the Chaldean cipher. And that's why I feel it's the top dog cipher. But there it is right there, doing the alchemology of the word The Simpsons. It's the 103, and it's going to lead to this element right here. It's going to lead to a few things, but this element I feel is the one that's going to be the most important. It's the element palladium. And palladium is derived from the word palace, and it's also derived from this right here. It's going to go right to this Greek goddess called Athena right here, often given the word or name Pallas. And it's the Greek goddess that's associated with wisdom. Wisdom. Think about what I'm going to be telling you throughout this. Remember this wisdom. It's the goddess of wisdom, knowledge, gnosis. Think about what I'm showing you here. And this 46 is huge throughout this presentation. I'm going to be coming back to this if I can remember, because it's tied right to Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons. He was born on the 46th day of the year. We didn't get into that. But anyway, that's a little bit of the intro. Let's get into the topics, folks. I'm going to blow you away with this one. I am going to... This will probably be one of the most watched ones because this... show is so popular, but people are so, interested in how do they make predictions and, all that kind of stuff. And you saw in the beginning of this, I had a little clip from the video game, The Simpsons, from 2007, and it was the GOD talking to the characters, telling them that you're in a video game, you're in a game, and it's just all fractals. And they're like, well, what about you? Are you being used? And God's like, yeah, right, sure. And then you see a little kid playing on the screen and controlling the God character. So it's all fractals. That's what it's telling you. Is that the truth? Well, it's got to be your truth. You got to make the truth your own. But that's what this is, I think, is all about. And how are they able to predict the future? Because there are so many uncanny connections with The Simpsons and the predictions. I'm going to get into that because I have one of the topics for this number 5 prediction. But anyway, let's get into these. In the 0 position, the intro, which is what I've just done now. Number 1, war. Sneaking up on us right now. Number 2, the yellow fools. Number 3, the yellow voices. Number 4, the game. Number 5, it's a big one, prediction. How are they able to do that? Number 6, I am from the future. Number 7, can't leave out the great creator, Groening. Number 8, open fire. And always love to hear what you see. Number 9, please leave your comments. I miss things. I do have errors sometimes. But love to hear what you see, your observations after watching this presentation. And feel free to share this with other like-minded individuals to really kind of expand on this decoding. It's really exploding the decoding world. So let's get into the first topic, war. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm currently working on decoding World War III. Is that what's coming down the pike for all of us? Well, The Simpsons, of course, have a prediction for that. This is a hot topic right now. This is what we're moving into. Well, they had an episode, and they even in their show, they have the little Ukraine. Why that? Well, the Ukraine flag is blue and yellow, and that's the color of The Simpsons. How uncanny is that? It's very interesting. And we know when you take yellow and blue and you put it into the Chaldean cipher, you're going to get 41. And 41 is not just any number. It's the 13th prime number, and the word game equals the number 13. Remember, in the beginning of this, right from the Simpsons game, you're in a game. You're being used as a character. And remember, if you've watched my Two Thieves Decoded, 41 is tied to the past. 41 degrees north is the latitude that the Vatican City sits on the map. So think about what I'm showing you here, tied to the Vatican. And then 13 is a big deal number because we bring alchemy into this and we get this element aluminum, and to me this means illumination. Aluminum is illumination. And what the illumination is realizing you're in a game. And 13 is tied to the 26. 26 is tied to the Yod-Heh-Vav. 26 is tied to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve equals 26. 26 is tied to iron. We have iron in our blood. You're inside of a game. This is what this is telling you. And I feel illumination, being illuminated, is going to figure this out like this. And be like, okay, I'm in a game. Now what? And then we got to go from there. So this is my only slide for the topic war and the aspects of perhaps the 3 world wars. Did we start World War III when Russia invaded Poland? Well, here's my take on it, breaking it down the way I do, my methodology. World War I, II, and III. World War I on the 28th of July, World War II, September 1st, and then is this the starting date for World War III, February 24th? Well, when you take into consideration alchemy, 28 is nickel, Old St. Nick, Devil's Copper, starting the wars. You have hydrogen right here, and then you have chromium right here. And when you add up the protons of these 3 elements, 28 plus 1 plus 24, you're going to get the number 53. And, remember, what are the colors of the flag? Blue is the 5th chakra. Yellow is the 3rd chakra. The 53 is right there, and it's right there in the colors of The Simpsons. So it's a no-brainer that they have the Ukraine and perhaps the prediction of the wars. But there it is in the 53, right back to this iodine. Again, it's the I am that I am. If you're a fan of theology, go right to Isaiah 45:7. It's going to tell you that the God is the one that creates peace and evil, calamity, whatever you want to call it. This is very fitting with the tarot right here because, of course, 53 being the 16th prime number, the tarot has its say in it, and obviously you can see that this is a major, major resemblance to war itself. It's the great Tower card, the card of destruction, and 16, of course, is tied to the word hell. The word hell in numerology is 16. It's very interesting. Of course, Lucifer's in there because Lucifer has that 16 tied to it, and we're going to be getting into Lucifer a lot during this presentation. You're going to see some connections that will just blow your mind. And I could have kept going with this. I have a few more things I'm going to be decoding on World War III or just the World Wars. I haven't figured out if I want to really go with this one crazy, but clearly you can see the connections to The Simpsons and perhaps the 3 world wars if we are moving into it, if this was the actual start date. Of course, 24 tied to our chromosomes. And nonetheless, there we go, folks, with the start of this. Let's get into the second topic now, called the Yellow Fools, which, of course, are the Simpson characters. And let's get into the 5 main characters in this show. There are many others, but the 5 main, of course, it's the 5. It's always about the 5, the pentagram. If you watch the Umbrella Academy, it was number 5. It was the Stone Cold Killer, time traveler. It's the 5, the pentagram. 5 fingers, 5 toes. But when you take Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie, you get the number 72. That's going to lead us to this element right here called germanium. And man, how many times have I shown this so many times, how valuable this is in describing our reality. Remember, 32 is the degrees at which water turns into a solid, liquid to a solid, spirit into matter. That's what this 32 means in so many ways. But what I thought was really interesting is the connection right here, because you have 3 females and 2 males, and that's 32, and there's the 32, there's the 72. Germanium has a few atomic weights, or masses, or isotopes, that is. 71 is another one tied to Lucifer. We're going to get into that, but there it is, germanium, and there's the G, which is going to be tied to the 3, the 33, the number 7, so many different ways to look at this. But starting this thing off right here, I mean, look at the connections at what I'm showing you here, and 3 female, 2 male, and there it is, the 32, representing duality. And I had come out with this decode. If you haven't seen this, please check it out. I decoded Groundhog Day, a very popular decode that I did. A lot of people watch this. But it was, of course, Bill Murray reliving the same day over and over, being stuck in hell, and being tied to this alarm clock, which kept waking him up at 6 a.m. And I showed in the string of pi where that 600 appears. It appears at the 359th decimal digit, and 359 is the 72nd prime number. So this clearly to me tells you when you wake up at 6 a.m., 6 being the last day of creation in theology, 6 is the first perfect number, you wake up and you're now living in Wonderland. And when I had gone further with this, I had shown that germanium itself, when you go study this, it's used in transistors, which is used in computers. And I had said through this decode, are we all just cells in a battery? Are we all just transistors being used as part of a bigger system? And this was another clue. The 52 cards of the medicine deck, instead of using symbols or other things like the tarot, it uses insects, animals, and reptiles. And of course, lo and behold, the ant is the card, the insect they decided to use for the 32. And how very fitting, because the ant is the worker down here. They're just workaholics, really describing who we are. So we have this 32, and that's what this whole Simpsons is all about, being down here in Wonderland, being used as part of this game. They were told that in the very beginning. I showed you that, and that's how I feel this reality works. But these are all clues that we wake up out of a dream. Now we're in a wake state. Why do we have an awake state? Why do we have a dream state? And we're being used. I feel mankind is being used for this reality, and it's controlled remotely by energies outside of this reality itself. So getting back to this 72, we now bring in the tarot into this to give us a deeper meaning of what this Simpsons show is all about. And, again, the yellow is the big takeaway, but let's get into this Fool card. The Fool card is the 0 card. The 0 and the 22 if you use it as both, but notice that it has the color yellow all over it. These were created a long time before The Simpsons came out, but here we have a connecting point of the color yellow being the major color on this card, yellow boots, the sun behind the Fool's head, and the color yellow of the characters of The Simpsons. And why I'm showing the Fool is because you see 32 degrees Fahrenheit when you convert it, and I had shown this before in other decodes, it's 0 degrees Celsius. So we realize that when you become a fool down here in Wonderland and you become matter, because 32 means matter, it means coming into the physical reality, into Wonderland. 33, of course, is ascension, going to liquid. That's when water liquefies and changes its state. So we become ice. We become, trapped under ice. Metallica had that great song, Trapped Under Ice. I covered that in a decode. But there's the connecting point. And the connecting point to the 32 and the 72, and it's telling you that these 5 characters are representing the Fool, the yellow fools. And what I thought was really fascinating, going beyond that with the tarot, is how about the 32nd card? 32nd card, using this as another guide, it's the 10 of Wands, the 10 of Clubs, and this card is all about taking the world upon your shoulders. Isn't that what each and every one of us has to do once you come out into this world? You got to take the world upon your shoulders. You have great responsibility to support yourself, your family members, whoever you have around you. This is what you have to do. Down here, 32 means hell. You're in hell. So the Fool is the 0, and the conversion of that is the 32, and we become the Fool, and then we realize, shit, man, I have a massive responsibility in this world. And that's, the comedy is these characters are all having fun, but they have a massive responsibility. Of course, Homer works at the nuclear power plant. That's not on accident. But this is all telling you the story of how this reality works when we combine them all together. What about when we bring the 72 into the string of the golden ratio? Well, right here is another telling story. 72 occupies 2 digits, 37 and 38. And if you've been paying attention, watching my Prison Planet series 1, 2, and 3, I showed that this is the recycle process. I feel like this may be the loop, the anomaly that we just never get out of. We get reincarnated back in and back in. Do we ever graduate? Do we ever get out of here? I don't know. It's all pure theoretical. on what we want to believe when we leave this place, but maybe we never get out. But the 37 is there. It's in the recycling symbol itself. I've shown this so many times. And in the string of the golden ratio, there it is. And when you take 37 and 38 and you add those up, simple math, you're going to get this number right here. And this right here, folks, is where we bring in Lucifer, because this is the original spelling in the Aramaic, the only scripture in the Holy Bible, the Old Testament, Isaiah 14 verses 12, it talks about the morning star, Lucifer, being, going down and weakening the nations. And there's the 75, 37 plus 38 is 75. So it's telling you that, The Simpsons is a fractal. And essentially we are the Simpsons. We are the yellow fools, which is right here. The yellow fool, which is what we all are, the 32. And there's the 75. We bring in Lucifer a lot into this. How about in the string of pi? Where does that 72 appear? Well, it occupies 139 and 140. 139 is this element right here called cerium. It has many isotopes. It has 139, 140, 141. But there's the 139, and the 58 is the proton cerium has, and it's linked to this word right here, which I have shown so many times. Many of you great decoders have shown it as well through your great decodes. It's the puppet master, which is what runs this reality. So when you play the Simpsons game, you take the remote control and you control the characters. Do you think it just stops there? You think that you're not being controlled? This whole show, this whole reality, I'm going to show you how ridiculously scripted these people are that are all part of this game and this show. And you got to make your own decisions on what you think is the end result of all this that I'm going to be showing you. What about using the English 1 through 26, A through Z, and the 5 main characters? You're going to get that number 227. Most of you know if you take 22 and divide it by 7, you're going to get pi. 227 is tied to the 89th element, and that's going to bring in Yaldabaoth, the Gnostic demiurge, which has a big say in this as well. But 227 is not just any number, it's the 49th prime number, which is tied to this statement right here. I covered this. If you haven't seen my decode, Alice in Chains was the featured band. Alice in Wonderland, down in a hole. This is telling us we come down into the hole, into Wonderland, and then we bring in another layer, the medicine cards, once again, how valuable these are. The 52 cards matching the 52 weeks, insects, animals, and reptiles, and fish and all that. It's the salmon fish. And it's the match. It's telling you that we come down and we become fish. Remember, the word life, the word fish, both are 17. The word gold is 17. We become goldfish. It's all alchemy, led to gold. That's what this whole reality is all based on. It's based upon currency. Let's get into the third topic now. We got the yellow voices. So we have the yellow fools. How about the voices behind the characters? Here are the 4 main human beings. So we have a fractal up now, controlling the voices of these characters right here. Folks, wait till I show you this. You want to talk about having your mind blown? These people are being used. When you take their names and you do the numerology of all 4 of them, their birth names, you get 280. What's 280? Bringing alchemy into this, getting the bridge. It's this element right here, rhodogenium. And it has 111 protons, bringing the magic square of the sun. If you're not familiar with this, please go do some research on this. But the sun has this magic square. It has 6 rows, of course, adding up the 1 through 36, 36 being Krypton, 36 being tied to operating system. I'm going to be showing that through this presentation, but there's the 111, 6 rows of 111 tied to the sun. This is the beast above. We are the beast below. Mankind is the 666 through carbon. But folks, do you see how ridiculous this is? Like, never mind picking these people, they're doing voiceovers and then getting all this connected like this. I think people are out of their minds thinking that man's consciously doing this. Just right here, I could stop right here. And this is already supporting that mankind's being used. How about when you do the numerology of this element that they're linked to? Well, it's 47. What's 47 tied to? Tetragrammaton. Going right back to the ancient Israelite God of the Bible now. Doesn't mean it's the end all. But there's that 47. 47 is going to get linked to the number 2 because 47 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 is Taurus. That's the Taurus is tied to the Bible. So it's the Taurian Bible, by the way, which is into the Taurus fields. But nonetheless, this element right here, when you do the research on it, this is when this element was accepted as a permanent name on the on the periodic table itself. It was on November 1st, of course. I mean, look at the numbers. November's 11, it's 111. There it is. Was that consciously done? Maybe. But then, when we bring in the cards of illumination, which have so much say in this, and I'm going to be showing this a lot, it's the 32nd card in the deck. This 6 diamonds is the 32nd card in the deck, tied to November 1st. I just want to be really transparent. Here's the boilerplate chart for all the 365 days of the year. Here's November, and here's the 1st. It's the 6 diamonds right there, just so we can be really transparent. And it's the 32nd card in the deck, which we go right back up right here. 32, tied to the 72. So think about what I'm showing you here. That these characters are tied to the 32nd element. And then these people right here, the voices of these characters, are tied to this element that has the same numbered card on it, the 32, which means duality. So these people are being used, as great as they are. Their voices, they're doing their jobs, but they were selected because they were supposed to be selected because they're in the script. It's all predestination. I know, we're going to get into time travel here just a little bit. We're going to get into that because we can't leave that out, but that's all theoretical. But there's merit to it. Going further, we'll be showing this in a little bit as well. The Simpsons in the English is the 157. And the 157 is tied to this element right here called gadolinium, the 64th element. And 64 is how many squares there are on a chessboard. 64 is the possible codons in our DNA, which is why I have the DNA right here. And folks, this is where do you draw the line and say, well, okay, this is the organic code? Because when you take these 4 and you add up their birthdays, Cartwright on the 25th, Smith on the 3rd, Kavner on the 7th, and Castellaneta on the 29th. Here it is. 3 plus 25 plus 7 plus 29. You're going to get the number 64. Think about what I'm showing you here. And the 64, the average of gadolinium is 157. And what is this element? This is the icon, the Royal Society of Chemistry, used for this element. And why? I'm just going to go, for those of you that are new, here's the Royal Society of Chemistry. We go down to the 64th element. Here it is, gadolinium. And there's the average, 157. And why they have a picture of this? Because it says right here, the image reflects the past use of the element in television screens. So when you put 2 and 2 together, what is this show? It's on television. Do you think that we're not on television? Do you think it just stops there? No, folks, we are inside of a movie. And this is a script that we're all playing out. And mankind did not code this. This is absolute ironclad support for what I'm just showing you right here. This is big deal stuff right here for decoding. Massive. So let's keep going. So when you take these 4 people and you bring in their cards of illumination, 10 hearts, queen diamonds, 6 hearts, 4 diamonds, all 4 characters for the voices of the Simpsons, tied to their birthdays, and you say these cards out loud, 6 of hearts, queen of diamonds, 10 of hearts, 4 diamonds, you get the number 226. And 226 is tied to this element right here called radium, otherwise known as the element of Ra, which is the sun god. What color is the sun? I mean, I know it's white, but when it comes down, it forms yellow and orange and red. Yellow is the primary color. Yellow is the first color that we see as it comes into the pupil of the eye. And what are the colors of these characters? That's right, they're yellow. So it's telling us loud and clear what's going on, what's running this reality, or at least has a big say in it. And if you take their names, their birth names, it's 88 letters, folks. So look how ridiculous this is. And the 88 is how many protons radium has. So we not only get their cards and we say the numerology of their cards, but we get their total birthday names, all their birth names, 88 letters. So it's Ra there, and it's Ra right there. I mean, do you see how ridiculous this code is? This just becomes very comical. And you can see this reality is scripted. These people are being used. So let's get into the next topic, the game. Simpsons had a game, came out in 2007, EA Sports. But showing this once again, The Simpsons 157, it's telling you it's on television. And it just doesn't stop there. These are all fractals. We are inside of a movie, a television show, a soap opera. This is what this is telling all of us. When you just take the word Simpsons, forget about the word the, it's 124, and 124 is tied to this element right here called tellurium. Most of you know, been following this great research. This is tied to the word prison planet. Prison planet equals 52. So they're stuck in a prison. So at the beginning of this presentation was all about, I showed from the Simpsons game, the GOD said, tell them, hey, you're inside of a video game. And you're being controlled. And it doesn't stop at the human level, folks. Right there, prison planet. This means Tellus, which means Earth. 52 from the word Simpsons. If you take the Simpsons, including the word the, you're going to get the number 48. I've shown how big this tied to the wild boar and titanium and the fallen angel story. And tied to the batteries. Because cadmium is 48. Cadmium has many isotopes. 113 is its most dominant. And we're going to get into that. Here's the icon the Royal Society of Chemistry uses. Of course, this means Earth. Earthbound, the triangle pointing down. I showed this in my 33 decoded in my prison planets, how big this was for the Mason the Masons, how big it was for that and what they're showing. And the true essence of alchemy with sulfur and mercury. Cadmium was in there. But there's a big takeaway of us being just batteries, because 80% of cadmium is used in rechargeable nickel cadmium batteries. Nickel being devil's copper. We are batteries, ladies and gentlemen. You are a battery, and you are a torus field, and you are feeding the main battery. You're just cell in a battery. Batteries have cells. Human beings are cells. Inside of your body, you have cells. It's just all fractals. It goes down, it goes down, it goes down. So this 113 tied to the 48. 113, of course, is a prime number, not just anyone. It's the freaking 30th prime number tied to the word Demiurge, what the Gnostics called the God that rules this reality. The Demiurge. Of course, the word Jehovah equals 30, Nazareth equals 30, Santa Claus equals 30. There's a movie called Zero Dark 30. Folks, it just keeps going on and on and on, and 30's tied to zinc, and that's going to be tied to the word hell. But how about this right here? This is huge. Because I have this topic coming up. Prediction is 113. There it is. What are the Simpsons known for? Predictions. Do you see the connection on this? So crazy. But there it is. Prediction. So what about the cards of illumination and the tarot to give us a picture? We think in pictures. Well, 48th card in the deck is the 9 spades card. And then this 9 spades became the 9 of swords. And this is the 59th card in the deck. If you use the Fool's card, 22. And that's a match, as I've shown so many times. The game of life is 59. What happens when you know you're coming down here to play the game? A lot of worry, stress, and sleepless nights. Nightmares. You're having a nightmare when you're down here in the loony bin. As beautiful as this place is, because it's duality, it has beautiful things, it has gnarly things. But the Simpsons coming down here, and the beginning of this presentation, they were like, hey, we want Springfield back to normal again. We'll get rid of the chaos, get rid of the worry, doubt, and fear. But there it is right there. And How about this? The game of life is 59 in the Chaldean, but in the English it's 112. And I said cadmium has several atomic weights or isotopes. 113 is its most dominant, 112 is its average. There it is, the game of life. We're batteries. We become batteries down here in Wonderland, folks. That's what we are. And we're rechargeable by being polarized on the dielectric plane. If you study magnetism, electricity, and dielectricity, it's exactly how this reality works. So what about the word Simpsons? Taking out the word the, look at what you get, 34. Going right back to the cards of illumination. What is the 34th card in the deck? It's the 8 diamonds card. And the reason why I have this symbol right here, this is the sigil of Lucifer. Now, these batteries are nickel cadmium. Nickel is called devil's copper. And that's why you're going to get the correlation of Lucifer to the devil. Simpsons is 34. The 34th card is the 8 diamonds. There's the sigil of Lucifer. And I had come out with this decode back in 2020. Some of you are now, I just put it on the highlighted reel here to watch it, but this is a slide from Lucy in the Sky with diamonds. That's what these cards are. They're diamonds. And the 88 constellations are tied to that. There's where that sigil fits right over that diamond. I'm going to be folks, wait till you see how many people have this in this show that are part of this show, The Simpsons. It's ridiculous. So the 139 tied to the 88 constellations, through the numerology of that, we go right back to the Puppet Master again, which is why I have this illustration here. 139 is the 34th prime number. And this is the 34th card. And this is where Lucifer's sigil fits right over and encompasses all of these perfectly. Thank you, Kevin Clark. He's the one who just kind of led us on that path. But how about that? Right there. And 88's tied to Lucifer and time travel and Yttrium. And it's tied to the Simpsons. It's tied to Simpsons 34. It's right there. You can't miss this, folks. And the Simpsons are being controlled by the people that make these, direct them, produce them, create the characters, the voices. Well, how about us? You think that it just stops there? No, we're being controlled, folks. And the 88 constellations, Lucy in the Sky with diamonds, the zodiacs, and the 88 known constellations, they all have their say in controlling this reality, including the sun and moon. So this game came out on October 30th. There's that 30 again. Tied to Demiurge. Tied to Jehovah, the New Age name of the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Tied to Zinc and Hell. But October 30th, when this game came out, need I say more? 300. And what does the 33 mean? The 33 is going to be tied to the number 3 and lithium because it has 3 protons and 3 electrons. It's for a different story. 3.14 pi. It's all going to go back to the 3, the Trinity, the triangle. But going to the golden ratio now, where is that number 30 found? Well, it's linked to the number 56, as I had shown in other decodes. This is big because it tells you we're in a movie. Lights, camera, actions, 56. The 56 tied to the 30 and 31, which is tied to Prometheus, and I'm going to be getting into that. Wait till I show you the truth bombs on this. It's going to blow your mind. So the plot of this game is where Homer is having a fantasy about a world of chocolate. And he tries to catch and eat a white chocolate rabbit. Folks, look how ridiculous this is. So this is definitely alluding to Lucifer. And we know the moon has the rabbit in there. Follow the white rabbit, Neo. Knock, knock. And is the moon going to recycle you back into the game? He's chasing the white chocolate rabbit in this game. And it's tied to the element lutetium. I mean, look at these connections, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the handwriting's on the wall. You can see it staring you in the face. And this led me to the dream, because he says he's trying to catch a white chocolate rabbit. Upon waking up, he is upset to find out it was all just a dream. And are we just inside of a lucid dream? Are we being used inside of a lucid dream? I mean, lucid dreaming is dreaming, but being able to control your character. Many of you know how to lucid dream. Many of you do lucid dream. But there's lucid. Think about what I'm showing you here. And if you haven't checked out my pineal gland decoded, I showed the lucid dreaming in there. Lucid dreaming's 42, tied to life, the universe, everything. So are we just inside of a dream? And are we just row your boat? Life is but a dream. That's what the Masons will tell you, but everybody thinks the Masons are, well, I shouldn't say everybody. Many people that are not educated think the Masons are evil. And they're behind all the nasty, gnarly stuff on the world stage, and they have no value at all. They're just so focused on the nasty, evil, gnarly stuff, they just forego the things that they're all about. Just, as what are you giving your energy to, folks? I mean, here's the value of this organization. Like them or not. I'm not excusing anything that what you believe in and all the evil and all the craziness. But let's just talk about the esoteric and the occult behind everything and what I'm showing you here. All this stuff and what it points to. You see, it's all pointing to your imagination. And it's crystal clear. Imagination is 33 in the Francis Bacon, which is the only cipher that capitalizes the alphabet, 1 through 26, 27 through 52. And there's the 33 with the G, and that's what the G means. I mean, it means the number 7, and it means the number 3, but there's the G, and it's the G spiral. And it's the imagination. It's the golden ratio. Gold. So you can sync up to this so many different ways. But see, a lot of people don't want to use their imagination. They're just being hypnotized and influenced. And they're too busy trying to point the finger and get mad at groups, rather than take that energy and put it onto something being creative. And that's what would make the world change. People would rather just get involved with this stuff and let this influence them and dictate and control this reality. But it doesn't matter because it's all fractals. All of it. It's all fractals. And we're just batteries. And The Simpsons right there is telling you, and is Matt Groening and company, are they just being spoon-fed information for the predictions? Are they looking into Alice in the Looking Glass? So many theories, but nothing to be proven. And, a lot of people, Matt Groening's a Mason. Do you know the guy? Well, you're just guessing. The guy's being used, ladies and gentlemen. So forget about what you think you know about it. If you start studying this stuff and decoding yourself, forget about what I'm telling you. Start decoding you. You're going to start to see your life is owned and scripted. And then you can shake away and get rid of all the accusations you keep pointing at other people and organizations. And you get rid of that kind of stuff. But anyway, let's get into this guy right here. This is more being used. Harry Shearer. This dude right here was the voice of God on The Simpsons game, which I played in the very beginning of this. He was the voice of God. He was born on December 23rd. What is his birth card? It's the 8 of Hearts. So you have The Simpsons with the 8 of Diamonds. And you have this guy. Think about what I'm showing you now. This guy is the voice of God in this video game. Now, I'm not saying this is absolute truth. You got to make the truth your own. I'm merely just showing you something. This guy was the voice they chose to be God in the video game, telling you that you're in a game. Telling The Simpsons that anyway, and I don't think it stops there. And he's got the 8 of Hearts. And this card right here is one of the cards. Not only there's the Lucifer sigil again, but it's also tied to this element right here called Promethium. I had done a decode on the 2 thieves. I had shown the cross. A lot of you watched this. Thank you for your support. I thought this was a very important presentation for me to come out with. And at the very top of the cross is the element Promethium. And if you subtract 52 from that 61, you're going to get the number 8, which is going to give you the 8 of Hearts. This guy's card. So this guy right here, they casted to be the voice of God in the Simpsons game, has the card of Promethium, which is the Titan who stole fire from the gods and gave it to the humans. And he gave him wisdom and knowledge and gnosis. It just goes so deep, but there it is. And this guy has the card of Prometheus, who they chose to play God. The voice in this video game. He's got that Prometheus card. I mean, are you kidding me? So let's get into the fifth topic now. Prediction. This is a big one. Prediction. So I decided to break it apart because, if we do the syllables, it's going to be a 3-syllable word, prediction. And I used to break syllables apart and really go to town on that. I think I may end up bringing that back because there's a lot of saying that. It's a different variation of alchemology. But the word prediction, the word dictionary. Think about what I'm telling you. Prediction, dictionary. It's all there. But pre is 15. 15 is tied to phosphorus, the light bringer, which is tied to Lucifer. So is the predictions coming from Lucifer? Is Lucifer just Prometheus? Maybe. But I thought it was really interesting. It's prediction. And diction's 25, and it's tied to this word yellow, and the letter Y is the 25th letter in the alphabet. And what are the color of the skin of the Simpsons? Yellow, which is the color of the sun. As above, so below. So this yellow being 25 is a big deal. And the 25 into the string of pi is here and occupies digits 89 and 90. Of course, there's Yaldabaoth there. Yaldabaoth may be tied to the sun. Adversary equals 25. Yaldabaoth equals 89. So Yaldabaoth's there again. But you see, when you take 89 and 90 and you add it up, it's going to give you the number 179. Of course, 79 is gold. 179 is the hierarchy of gold. But it brings us to this element right here called hafnium. Hafnium is tied to the 72 angels and demons in that story. 72 plus 72 is 144,000. And lo and behold, the 5 main characters, there's the 72, not only tied to germanium and hell, but it's tied to hafnium and the angels and demons. Tied to yellow. The word demon equals 25, folks. The word demon equals 25. So start to put your thinking cap on what I'm showing you. So let's get into, we go from prediction. Who's given the predictions? How about I am from the future? Is Matt Groening from the future? Is he a time traveler? I had posed that on my How to Decode Yourself video that I came out with. Well, I'm having to rethink all this kind of stuff, but maybe some of us are from the future. So if you take the words, I am from the future, look at what we get. And Groening created these characters. Was he sitting down with numerology, knowing that I am from the future equaled 72? And that's why he created these 5 that equal the number 72? This is just using one cipher. I don't think so. But there's the match right there. Is this why they are able to predict things? Is Matt Groening from the future? 72, angels and demons. And 72 is 46. I'm going to be breaking this down. Wait till you see the connection to this freaking number. Insane. But we go back to this card right here. And remember what I showed with this one. This one was tied to the card 34. This is the 8 of Pentacles. The 8 of Pentacles is from the 8 of Diamonds. 8 of Diamonds is the 34th card. Simpsons equals 34. There it is. So think about what I'm showing you. I am from the future. What's from the future? How are these numbers lining up like this in the same cipher? Bringing the tarot into this. And then we have the tarot from this, the cards of illumination. The 8 of Pentacles is the 8 of Diamonds. 8 of Diamonds is the 34th card, which has the sigil of Lucifer over it. And then the word Simpsons is 34. Look at the connections of this. What's going on here? How about the word future? From the future, 31, 3.14. 31 is 34. 34 is The Simpsons. Tied to Lucifer and the Sigil of Lucifer and the Eight of Diamonds and Prometheus. Just so amazing and interesting, this kind of stuff. And I mean, to finish this topic off, I mean, does it get any more crystal clear for you? Here's his last name. So, is he from the future? Or is he just being used by something from the future that knows the future? Was Nostradamus being used by something from the future that knew, or something part of the future? I mean, how else are we to really describe what I'm showing you here? What other ways can we come up with to theorize what I'm showing you here with this? So getting back to this 72. I showed this 72. When you say 72 is 46. And that's going to lead me into the creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening. I watched some of it. Go watch some of his David Letterman interviews and stuff. It's like when he was up and coming. I mean, certainly not trying to screw anybody over or mock you, or people just, Howard's a high-level Mason trying to pork you over and screw. It's like, man, do you even just listen to yourself? So ignorant. But anyway, how about Groening? How about this 46 right here? Well, how about his birthday? See, Matt Groening was born on February 15th. It is the 46th day of the year. 72 is 46. 72 is the numerology of the 5 main characters, which is tied to I am from the future. Kind of interesting with this. And he's on the 46th day of the year, February 15th. What about the golden ratio? Bringing the 46 into the golden ratio? Well, look at what digits it occupies. 70 and 71. Get out your calculators and add that up. 70 plus 71? 141. What's pi? 3.141. 3.141. And this 46 in the string of the golden ratio occupies digits 70 and 71. It ends at 71, and we go right back to Lucifer again, and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and lucid dreaming. It's lutetium again, with that 71 connecting to the 46. But what about the string of pi now? Where does the 46 appear? Well, as all of you know, this is part of the loop, 19, 37, 46, which is tied to Earth. And 46 occupies digits 19 and 20. Why I'm showing lutetium again is because of the 20. 46 is 19 and 20. 20 is the ending digit. Or 71 is the 20th prime number. Going right back to lutetium, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, lucid dreaming. When you take the 19 and 20 and you add them up, you get the number 39. And that's going to give you the 88 miles an hour, Marty McFly, and Back to the Future, and time travel. Time travel. And yellow's 25. Y is 25. Yttrium starts with the letter Y. You see the connections here, folks? They're kind of undeniable. When you take the 19 and 20 and you add them up, you're going to get the number 39, as I just showed. Well, these are the two elements that have the 39. They share it. It's potassium and argon. And if you take AR and you add it with the letter K, you're going to get the word Ark. The Ark of the Covenant. It's going to be the sun and moon, as I have shown in so many decodes. 18 and 19 is 37. And that's going to give you that loop again, 19, 37, 46. Perhaps telling you that you're stuck in a loop. 19 and 20 is 39. Once again, here's the original spelling through the Aramaic, Hebrew. It's the word that is used for Lucifer. It's hell, H-Y-L-L, or Halel. I just say it's hell. It's kind of funny. It is H-Y-L-L. There's no vowels in there, but that's pronounced hell. And that's why Lucifer's tied to hell. Coming down and becoming man. Let me show you more about how Matt Groening is being used, I feel. No disrespect to Matt Groening. These are just my opinions and truths. If I'm way off base, I'm way off base. But how else are we to describe what I'm about to show you? February 15th, here's his card of illumination. His ego card, his identity card. It's the 10 diamonds. Let's just go here. Here it is, February. Come down here to the 15th. That's the 10 diamonds card. This card right here is one of the most fortunate cards in the deck. It's called the card of fortunate blessings itself. You know, Tom Brady, Michael Jackson, Prince, they all had this as their birth card, or have. It's 36 card in the deck. When you say 10 of diamonds, it's going to give you the number 58. 58's tied to the Puppet Master. And the Puppet Master's tied to this element Cerium. It has many atomic weights, as I showed, 139, 140, 141. There's pi itself. So do you think that this guy's not being used? By the Puppet Master. What is the Puppet Master? Well, it's the Wizard of Oz. It goes by a lot of things. It's tied to this 36, I can tell you that, because, you see, what's running this reality? Well, it's in a computer, it's called an operating system. We have an operating system, it's called life. The game of life is the operating system. Operating is 36. It's tied to this guy's card right here. Think about what I'm showing you here. This show is so massively popular. So many people watch it. They give it their energy and they create the magic needed for it to come true. Without anybody watching it, this show has no merit at all. But if you know how magic works, but the operating system, why are they able to predict things? Part of the operating system. This guy has the birth card that's tied to the word operating. And then system is going to be tied to duality. So the operating system is duality. What's running the operating? Well, I covered this in my decode of The Wizard of Oz. And I showed how the operating system is tied to the element Krypton. Krypton is tied to the sun, because that's where Superman was from. Krypton means kryptos, which means secret. And it's tied to osmium and the Wizard of Oz. I had shown this, how important this was. And it's tied to the architect. And this guy is tied to this word operating through his birth card. What about his spirit card? Now, let me digress and show you. Here's the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination, if you're new to this. On the right side is what's called the Master Life configuration. This is your ego card. Once you find your card here, you then move it into this chart and you find the location of that card, and it'll have, you know, these rows, the planets, and then the planets down here. It'll tell you what planet is operating through these cards. So Matt Groening, he sits right here in the Jupiter line. It's Jupiter right here and Jupiter right there. He sits in the Jupiter line. And I got a decode coming out on Jupiter ascending with the Wachowski brothers, or sisters, whatever. And there it is, 10 diamonds. And then what you do is you find the exact same card over here in the Master Spirit section. I call this your Handler card. It's, of course, there is the card that sits in that same spot, the Queen Clubs card. And these are your two primary cards when you read the cards of illumination. So here are his two cards. And it's the 25th card in the deck. And lo and behold, the color of the characters chosen for The Simpsons are yellow. And that's 25, which is a match to his spirit card, which is matched to the sun. The sun runs your spirit card. And the sun is typically denoted as yellow. Yellow, which is the first color that comes into the eyes through the light spectrum. Think about what I'm showing you here. What is feeding this guy the information? When you say his two cards through numerology, you want to do this with yours and see what numbers you come up with. 10 of diamonds, Queen of clubs, 112. Look at what you get. The average weight of cadmium, 48, and we go right back to the name of the show. And then look at the connections on this. And I can assure you he wasn't sitting down with his cards and figuring this stuff out with alchemy and then figuring out what the show's name was going to be. Then you got the word sim in there, simulation, there's pi there. There's so many connections these people would have to get right. It's not man running this. So we can say it's a time traveler, but mankind's being used. That's my take on all this. Here's how this guy got into the business. He came out with this comic series called Life in Hell. Think about what I'm showing you here. Life in Hell, because that's what we're in. We're in hell. And look at the numerology of it. 39. That's another match directly to the original spelling of Lucifer in Isaiah 14 verses 12. In the Hebrew/Aramaic, it's the 39. It's going to be 75 if you go up to the gematria and 12 if you reduce it down, but it's going to end up being the number 3. 3 is yellow. The third color is yellow. The third chakra is the solar plexus chakra. And it's the color of these characters. He's got the rabbit there as well. I mean, there's so many syncs with this, but folks, how are you to wrap your mind around what I'm showing you here? Oh, wait, I got more. What about where this guy was from? Where he was born? Portland, Oregon. Some of you are from Portland, watching this right now. When you do the latitude, I showed how valuable the latitude longitudes are, showing you the script. This is more solidification of the script playing out, predestination. But here it is, Portland, 45 degrees north, 122 degrees west. Simple math, 45 and 122 is going to give you 167. The bleed over is going to be 168 if you add it up completely. But 167 is going to be the first number you're going to get. And lo and behold, it's not just any number, it's the frickin' 39th prime number. Going right back to how this guy got his career started. And what is hell denoted as? Lucifer. Lucifer runs hell. So what is this telling us here, folks? What is it telling you? This is all a script. All written into the script. And there's no other way around this at this point when you start to see all these layers. When you do the numerology of Portland, I forgot about this. When you do the numerology of Portland, it's a 34 matching to the show's name. And what's the 34th card in the deck? It's the 8 diamonds, which has got Lucifer's sigil over it. You see how Lucifer is completely embedded into The Simpsons? This reality is a joke, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute stand-up comedian joke. Whatever created this reality is a stand-up comedian. I have God's a Comedian part 1, 2, 3, and 4. What about the incorporation of Portland? February 8th. This is a big one. February 8th, 28, 228. Lucifer is 28. February 8th. When you go here, you go to the numerology calculator and you type in Lucifer, it's 28. When you type in architect, it's 28. And February 8th is 2/8. So what's running Portland? What created Portland? Well, everybody thinks God created everything. Well, what would God be at this point? Who chose these dates? I mean, folks, where do we draw the line here? Look at this. February 8th is the 39th day of the year, going right back to Lucifer in the original spelling that it came from. Look, think about what I'm showing you here. Lucifer again. Lucifer again. This guy's whole life's wrapped around Lucifer the Lightbringer, which is tied to the sun. Which is tied to the color yellow. I mean, folks, where do you draw the line to see that this life is predestined? It's scripted. It's just a big joke. From the future or not. I can show you my life. My life's just as scripted. Here's the February 8th card in the tarot. It's the 4 of spades, which is the 4 of swords. Think about what I showed you earlier and what I'm showing you now. This tarot card means asleep, means it's in a dream, resting, meditation, lucid dream. I showed this earlier. Lucid is lutetium, Lucifer. And this incorporation of this city where this guy's from is tied to the card that is all about dreaming and being asleep and perhaps lucid dreaming. and Lucy in the sky with diamonds, running this reality. This is insane, this code right here, showing you this, of what people would have to get right to code their lives to try to screw you over and mock you, try to pull the woolly over your eyes. That's what some people think. That's what some people think. So let's get into the last topic. I mean, if you weren't blown away then, I could do a part 2. I probably will do a part 2 on Simpsons, but let's get into the last topic, Open Fire. Because this right here was the very first, besides the pilot, this was the very first official release of The Simpsons, called Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. It was a Christmas special. Of course, the funny part about it is it aired on December 17th, which is the official start date of the holiday Saturnalia. Jordan and I covered that in one of our podcasts. Let's talk about Saturnalia. December 17th being the 351st day of the year. 351 is a permutation of the 153, which is how many fish the Christ caught in the New Testament. It's all connected. It's all there. And of course, you know, the 266 Pope, Jorge, his birthday is on December 17th. But anyway, it's this title of this show, this first episode. And there's the clue, the 119. What I thought was really interesting is it's The Simpsons roasting on what an open fire. And open fire is a 41, and the colors that these characters are made up of are yellow and blue. Look at, and it's not just the 41 here. It's the 25 and the 16. 25 and 16. And it's yellow and blue. They're roasting on an open fire. They're roasting on an open fire, the 25 and the 16. And to me, yellow and blue denotes heaven and hell. Hell is 16 anyway. But I thought that was really interesting. And of course, 41, as you know, is the 13th prime number, which is tied to the word game. And 41 is tied to the past. Here's the director of the very first episode. Or the producer or the director, one or the other. David Silverman. From Jewish descent, as many of them are. Nothing against that heritage. Just pointing that out. But look at what he has for his name outcome. 46. And just going back to this guy right here and remembering that he is born on the 46th day of the year. And then going back to this, and 72 is 46, and the 5 main characters are 72. I mean, think about what I'm showing you here. And now this guy has the 46? I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, but wait, there's more. To go out with a bang with this presentation. So his last name is Silverman. Silver being the most electric element on the periodic table, tied to the tetragrammaton, because silver is the 47th element. This guy is from a Jewish descent. Tetragrammaton is from the Jewish faith. And his last name is Silverman, tied to the element silver. He's got the 30, and there's the connection. And I could show a ton more. Santa Claus is 30. There's Santa Claus. Demiurge and Jehovah, the New Age name. And we know it's tied to Saturn. I get that. Which is tied to the crown. I get all that kind of stuff. But what about his birthday card? To end this presentation, to show you how ridiculously coded these people are. It's his birthday. March 15th. So let's just be really transparent as I have been. Here's March. Here's the 15th. Once again, it's the 8 diamonds. Card 34. The first ever show for The Simpsons. This guy directs it or produces it. And he's got the 34th card in the deck. And there's the sigil of Lucifer. So, is the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh just Lucifer? Is it just the Demiurge? Is it Yaldabaoth? Are they all connected? Is it Brahma? Is it Vishnu, Shiva? Are they all connected? All these deities. Well, I mean, you got to be the judge of that, folks. I mean, Jesus said he was the offspring of David. 16 is the word hell. 16 is tied to Lucifer. The days of creation are right there. But I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, folks. These people are being used. They're being used to create this show. Whatever that looks like beyond that, I don't know. I'm purely speculating beyond that because I just don't know. I'm not there with these people. I don't know them. But you can see the connections that are undeniable with these people. We could say this guy's a time traveler. I don't know the dude. And those of you that think he's a Mason, if you don't know him, then you're just speculating. And even if he was, who cares? Those of you that are saying that and pointing the finger, you don't even know what the word Mason means. You have no idea what Masonic means. You don't know anything about the group. You just automatically have been programmed to think it's evil and that's it. And you just go right there and you're drawn to it because your life is probably drawn towards fear. And you're fear-based. But this stuff's undeniable with this guy and these characters. The guy they use for God has the Prometheus card. I mean, folks, these connections that I'm showing you are heavily tied to Lucifer and Ra right here. The four main characters tied to Ra, the sun god, which may be running everything. And that's going to be tied to Helios. It's also going to be tied to the Greek god for the sun. Oh, it is Helios. Yeah, what am I talking about? It's Helios. But folks, do you see how ridiculous this code is? And what started it all, perhaps the war that may be coming, but it's being run remotely outside of this reality. So, anyway, folks, last but not least, here's my last slide. Here's the lady who, forgot about this one. Here's the lady who wrote Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. First episode. Look at what she is. She's born, I couldn't find her birthday. I found it was January 1st. That's the King of Spades, which is the unmovable card. Card 52, tied to Prison Planet. That's even if it's right. But, folks, where do we draw the line? 34. 34. 34. His birthday card, the 34. I mean, first ever art, the person who wrote the first ever episode, the guy who directed the first episode. And then this guy tied to Lucifer. I mean, folks, it's all Lucifer based, which is the light bringer, which is tied to the sun, which is why these characters I feel are the color yellow. But anyway, folks, what did you see? Whew, that was a long one. I tried to cram a lot of information in. I may do a part 2, but we'd love to hear what you saw during this presentation. I missed a lot of stuff. I know there's things you're going to see I didn't see. We'd love to hear what you saw during this Simpsons Decoded. So, as I often say, folks, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. I thank each and every one of you for watching, your great support and donations and Patreons. And those of you that are interested in a reading, just send me an email. I do have slots available. Decode, very limited though. decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Till next time, folks, we will see you later.